the jungle we must go.
Hey Sammy, what you doing?
Here, look. You see these things?
Yeah.
This is called a leek, right here.
Yeah.
You put the shovel underneath it, and then you pry it up. Here, how about mommy, can I pry it up for you, and then you pull it out for me? Okay, pull it out now, and shake off all the dirt. And shake it, shake it, shake it. Yeah.
Let's put the dirt over here.
Yeah, thank you. There's lots of weeds and stuff here. Push, push, push. You need help? Ready? Okay, move your foot. There you go. Good job. Hey friend, welcome back here to Seed and Spare Homestead. I'm Kelsey. Today we're doing some more preserving. That season is coming to a close here soon. Still have a little bit more to go. I just went out to see if there were any more tomatoes ripe on the vine. We've had a little bit of a cold snap, some fall-like temps in the 70s, and I have probably 100 plus tomatoes on the vines, but they're all green. It just hasn't been hot enough for them to start to turn. We're supposed to get some 90-degree weather this week, so hopefully they start to do what they're supposed to. But I have been harvesting a few here and there and freezing them. So today we're gonna take care of those. We're gonna make some of this roasted tomato soup. It is my favorite tomato soup recipe for canning. It is absolutely delicious. My husband does not really even like tomato soup, but he loves this. He will always gladly eat this. We're gonna make a batch of this today. I'm gonna weigh out and see how many tomatoes I have. You need 8 pounds for this recipe, and then anything extra I'm gonna throw into my big roaster, and we're just gonna make some pasta sauce. So we're gonna do that today. I harvested those leeks that we need to do something with, and I've got a few other odds and ends to do some things with herbs, and we'll see what else we get to. So let's get started. I'm grabbing all the tomatoes out of the freezer. I usually just like core them, and I wash them, put them into Ziploc bags to freeze. Sometimes I'm in a hurry and they literally just get harvested into this bag and then thrown into the freezer. So we've got all of these. I have more. These 2, and then I gotta go down to the basement. 3 more. And I think there's 1 more big bag downstairs. Okay, last one. That's a good bit of tomatoes, so that should get me a batch or 2 of the roasted tomato soup, and then a good sized batch of the sauce. So the first thing I need to do is start roasting some tomatoes for the tomato soup. So we're gonna get those into the oven. Got my scale out here, and these fresh tomatoes are the perfect amount for a batch of the tomato soup. I could have used the frozen, but it does say to have them and core them, which is not going to be possible with those. Not that it's like a huge deal, but at least I have enough to do it exactly the way it says to in the book, but it would have been fine. So 8 pounds measured out here. I'm gonna have these and core them and get them roasting. It says at 375. Sprinkle with some salt and pepper, and then you roast for about 45 minutes or until they're very soft, and then you can just peel off the skin. So that's what I'm gonna do now.
Love it.
So that's obviously very full. I still have 5 bags of tomatoes to put in there. It will all fit eventually, but because they're frozen solid, they're just not giving at all when it comes to room. So I'm gonna have to allow these to thaw and cook down a bit, and then I'll continually add some more tomatoes to it. If I would have had room in my fridge, I would have just brought them out to thaw in there overnight, but that just wasn't going to happen in terms of space. So that's gonna be going probably all day. I'm not even sure we'll get to canning that today. Just depends on how quickly they thaw and cook down. So we're gonna move on to some leeks. Leek harvest here for the year. Doesn't really look like a whole lot. There's actually a whole bunch of leeks in here. They just didn't get very big. Still perfectly edible. I'm still thankful for the harvest. Partly my fault, but mostly just the weird weather we had this year. I know a lot of you experienced that as well. Some just crazy fluctuating temps, long periods of heat waves, and very little rain. I have said before, I'm not the greatest waterer in the garden. I am much more of a leave it to the weather and survival of the fittest. That's just how I roll. But if I were to actually properly water my garden every day, I have a fairly large garden, it would take me hours. I have a little bit of irrigation set up. We want to do more in the future. But right now, I don't have time to be out there like that every day, watering and still trying to get everything else done. So it is what it is. I still got a harvest, and I'm still thankful for it. So my plans for these leeks is another favorite soup recipe of mine. It is a potato leek soup, not a canning safe recipe. Not planning to do that. I am going to be freeze drying this. You can totally just freeze it as well. It does really well in the freezer. I am just looking for some more shelf stable options in my pantry, so I will be freeze drying it. I'm probably going to quadruple my recipe, and then anything extra I'm just going to slice up and freeze dry separately for other uses in the cooler months. I'm gonna cook my leeks and some garlic here until the leeks are nice and soft, probably 10 minutes or so. I'm making a quadruple batch, but as always, you can find the recipe written out in the description. Moving back to the roasted tomato soup. So I've got some olive oil here. In this stock pot, we're gonna do 2 cups of chopped onions. Cup number 2. 4 garlic cloves minced. 2 teaspoons of salt. 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Give this a stir and allow it to cook for about 8 to 10 minutes over medium heat. We're not looking to brown it, we just want everything to get soft and tender. One cup dry white wine is gonna go in here. We're gonna allow that to cook down, evaporate for about 10 minutes. That has, for the most part, cooked away. So now we're gonna add 4 cups of chicken broth. Now we can add in the rest of the ingredients. We need all of those roasted tomatoes. All right, now I am not getting rid of all of that liquid. There's so much flavor in there. I'm just going to allow it to cook down a little bit. Now I have a cup of fresh basil leaves from the garden. They don't need to be chopped or anything. We're going to puree this a bit later. Now we're going to stir this together, and this is going to cook for about 30 minutes. Now the potato leek soup is ready for the next step. All the potatoes are tender. It's been simmering for about 30 minutes. Of course, my pot is not big enough for the remainder of the ingredients, so I'm just gonna ladle some of this into another container here. And we're gonna add some heavy cream, some peas, and some parsley. And I'm gonna use an immersion blender. I like the soup to have like bits of potato in it. I don't like when it's completely smooth myself. You can leave it as is. You can put everything into a food processor. I'm just gonna take an immersion blender and blend some of it up. Turned off the heat, adding in the heavy cream. We're gonna add in some frozen peas. Oh, and make a big mess. Typical Kelsey. Okay, I'm gonna grab that immersion blender, and then I'm gonna give this a taste and see if I need to add anything else. Definitely some more salt. Pepper. I personally want more of an onion flavor, so that's going in, and a little bit extra garlic powder. One more ingredient, just a little bit of bacon bits. Real bacon bits, not the bacon bits you buy in the store. All right, I am just gonna allow this to sit and cool down, and then we'll get it onto the freeze dryer trays and allow it to do its thing in there. After blending up this roasted tomato soup, put it back on the stove top, bring it to a simmer, and then we can fill our jars up to 1 inch headspace. Now this is a pressure canning recipe. That is how we ensure safety. It would not be safe to water bath this recipe. So in the pressure canner, a pint jar will process for 50 minutes, or if you're using a quart jar, they will process for 60 minutes. Okay, my mic died, so sorry for the change in audio quality, but we must push forward. Hard lesson learned for me. I have my freeze dryer in the basement, and you have to walk down a flight of stairs to get here. Let me just say, that can be interesting when carrying liquids on a tray. So I no longer do that. I just fill them directly into the freeze dryer. Now I put it in too far. So I'm getting my potato leek soup here onto the trays. And I am currently waiting for the pressure canner to start to vent. And then we will move on. Here is where we're at with those like 9 gallons of tomatoes. It's cooked down somewhat. I have yet to run it through the food mill. That will have to wait till tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna stick this into the fridge and we will continue the sauce making process tomorrow. We're gonna get this tomato sauce over to the stove top. We want to reduce it until it gets to desired thickness, usually reducing by 1/3. It's been a little while since I harvested some of my herbs that I'm growing, So I made it a point to get outside and bring some of it inside for drying. Let's make a passion flower tincture. So I am using 100 proof vodka, so that's 50% alcohol, and I'm filling my jar about halfway full with the fresh passion flower. So we're doing a 1-to-2 ratio, 1 part fresh flower, and then 2 parts alcohol. This is the Folk method. You can weigh it out. That is definitely more precise. I'm going to label the lid with what it is, type of alcohol, the percentage of alcohol, the ratio, and the date. And then this will sit in a dark location for 4 weeks before it is ready to use. Tomato sauce has been cooking down for about 4 hours now. It's about 1/3 reduced. It's at the consistency I like. So we're going to get it in jars here. I follow the tomato sauce process from the Ball Complete book of home preserving. It's on page 362, and you can use either bottled lemon juice or citric acid to make this water bath canning safe. I prefer using the citric acid. The lemon juice, I think, can kind of give an off flavor to the tomato sauce. That's just my opinion, so I prefer using the citric acid. And then I will add a teaspoon of salt for the quart. It'd be a 1/2 teaspoon for the pint. Citric acid would be a 1/2 teaspoon for the quart and a 1/4 teaspoon for the pint. You do have the option to put in some dried herbs if you like. I just choose to can my sauce plain. Then I can kind of use it in a variety of recipes. I'm gonna fill these up to a 1/2 inch headspace, and these will process in a water bath canner for 40 minutes for these quarts, or if you're doing pints, it's 35 minutes. Just so you can see the consistency of what I cook mine down to. Right about that. Not a whole lot of like water dripping down there. It's pretty nice, thick sauce. Now obviously the thicker you make it, the less yield you will have. I think those 9 gallons of tomatoes is gonna give me about 7 to 8 quarts of tomato sauce. Now don't let the pressure canner fool you. I am water bath canning this. It's just this vessel was already on my stovetop, so I am using it as a water bath canner. I'm just not attaching the lid. The pollinators go nuts over this passion flower arch, and let me tell you, these flowers smell divine. I think it's going to be on my must grow now every year. Besides its health benefits, it is just absolutely stunning and is so great for the pollinators. So I got the peas planted, at least, so some of the fall garden is in the ground. I have a few things left that are still somewhat itty-bitty. I'd like them to mature a bit more before putting them into the ground, but I'm so thankful that at least the peas are planted. Thank you so much for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed some harvesting, some preserving, and growing more food here on our homestead. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Otherwise, I love hearing from you. I appreciate you so much. You have a blessed week, and I will see you next time. Take care.